All right, let's jump into another deep dive. We're going deep on Spanish today.
Sounds fine.
We're going beyond just, like, basic vocab and really exploring these things called indefinite pronouns.
Ah, yeah.
You might already know some of them, but we're going to, like, really boost your fluency with these.
Yeah, it's like leveling up your Spanish, like, being able to express yourself more precisely, more subtly, like a native speaker would.
Totally.
Yeah.
And we're unpacking this lesson by Jaime Lara.
Yeah, Jaime's great.
He's got this super popular YouTube channel. And he makes grammar clear and engaging.
He does. Yeah, it's a gold mine for English speakers.
Okay, so let's get into it. What are some of the key takeaways from his lesson?
Okay, well, so he starts off by introducing 4 essential indefinite pronouns.
Okay.
Alguien, nadie, algo, and nada.
All right.
And so alguien means someone, and it's used in positive statements.
Okay.
And nadie means no one, and it's used in negative statements.
Catch.
So, for example, Jaime gives the example, ayer te llamó alguien, which is someone called you yesterday. And then he contrasts it with, no hay nadie fuera, meaning there's no one outside.
Okay, yeah, those seem familiar. Is there something that makes those tricky for learners?
Well, what's interesting is that in Spanish, you can actually change the word order.
Really?
Yeah, for emphasis. And in English, you can't really do that, right? So, like, you could say, nadie te llama ayer. So you're putting nadie, no one, first to really stress that, like, no one called.
I see.
So that's really interesting, and that really highlights, like, a fundamental difference, right?
Right.
Between Spanish and English and how they construct sentences and emphasize ideas.
So subtle, but so important.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how these subtle differences are really game changers.
Absolutely. And it's not just about word order. You also want to think about verb forms as well.
Okay.
So, moving on, we have algo and nada, which means something and nothing, respectively.
All right, so I could say, like, tengo algo para ti.
Exactly.
I have something for you.
Perfect, yeah. And then you could use no tengo nada to say, I have nothing. But, this is a common mistake that learners make, is they forget that nada always requires a negative verb form.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you can't just say tengo nada.
Right, so it has to be the negative form of the verb.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, that's a good point. It's those little things that make you sound more natural
right,
when
yeah.
you're speaking. It's like the secret code.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a native speaker. It gets even more interesting, though, when you start looking at how these pronouns can be used to talk about groups of people.
Okay.
So Jaime explains that alguien and nadie can be combined with the preposition de in really fascinating ways.
Ooh. Okay, so how does that work?
So, for instance, alguien de vosotros venga conmigo, meaning someone among you come with me. So here the speaker is addressing like a group of people, right?
Yeah.
And requesting that one of them, but without like knowing their identity, step forward. And on the flip side, you can say like, nadie de su familia vino al bautizo, meaning no one from his family came to the baptism.
So it's like that day really pinpoints it.
Exactly.
Someone within that group or no one within that group.
Exactly, yeah. And so that's how like prepositions can really subtly shift the meaning of pronouns in Spanish, but there's even more.
Okay.
Spanish is so flexible in how these pronouns can be modified.
Oh, cool.
To express like a wider range of meaning.
Okay, now I'm really interested.
So you can add más, which means more, to them.
Oh.
So you can say like algo más, which is something more.
Okay.
Or you could say nadie más vino a casa ayer, nobody else came to the house yesterday.
That's super helpful, so you can kind of build on it.
Yeah, you can like build on top of that basic meaning.
Yeah, and get more specific. That's really cool. I do remember one part in the lesson that I was a little bit confused about.
Okay.
He was talking about how nadie and nada can be used in both affirmative and negative statements.
Yeah.
It seemed a little contradictory.
Yeah, that's actually a really fascinating point, right? And this is a good example of how Spanish can be a bit more flexible with negation than English, right? So let's break it down.
Okay, let's untangle it.
Let's untangle this mystery. So like, nadie me trajo un regalo. Nobody brought me a present. So here, the verb trajo, brought, is affirmative.
Yeah.
Right. But the presence of nadie at the beginning kind of casts this negative sense over the whole sentence.
It dictates that.
It dictates the overall, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of emphasizing like the absence of something.
Right.
But you're right, it can feel a bit counterintuitive at first,
Especially from English?
especially coming from English where double negatives
All the negatives?
are no-no.
Right.
No,
So,
yeah.
okay, so how about when they are used with a negative verb?
So that's the more, I guess, straightforward construction. Right. Okay. So, for instance, think of no comí nada, meaning I didn't eat anything. Right. So here, the negativity is kind of like reinforced by both.
Yeah.
The negative word and the negative verb.
It's like a double negative in Spanish that works?
That works, exactly. Yeah, and it might seem kind of redundant at first, but it actually adds a lot of like emphasis and clarity
What?
to the meaning, It's like saying, I didn't eat anything.
Right, right.
Really driving home the point that, like, you ate absolutely nothing.
Yeah, there's no way around it.
There's no way around it.
I didn't eat anything. I love it. Okay, so understanding that difference can really help us to use those more naturally.
Absolutely. And again, it goes beyond just sounding like a native speaker.
Yeah.
It's really about like understanding like how Spanish constructs meaning, right? And emphasizes ideas.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm feeling a lot more confident about using those four now.
Great.
Are there any other common pitfalls that learners should be aware of?
Definitely. And that's what we're going to be diving into next.
Perfect. I'm ready.
One common mistake is using the wrong preposition with these pronouns, especially like when you're talking about groups.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to like fall back on English patterns and use a
Okay.
instead of de with alguien or negi.
Oh, I bet I've done that.
Oh, I'm sure we all have at some point.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah. So like, let's say you want to say, I want to talk to someone from your class in Spanish.
Okay.
A lot of learners might say, quiero hablar a alguien de tu clases,
Okay.
which is incorrect.
Oh.
The correct way would be, quiero hablar con alguien de tu clase.
Ah, so it's de.
It's de.
Instead of a.
Exactly.
To specify that it's within that group.
Precisely. Yeah, that tiny de makes a big difference in meaning.
Huge difference.
Huge. And while we're on the subject of prepositions,
Yeah.
here's another pro tip.
Okay.
Pay close attention to whether you're using por or para
Ooh, yes.
with these pronouns.
Por and para get me every time.
They get everyone. They're so tricky.
They're tricky.
But remember, por is generally used when you're talking about like a cause or a reason,
Okay.
while para is used for like purpose or destination.
Right, right.
So if you wanted to say, I'm looking for something to eat, you would say, busco algo para comer,
Okay.
using para because you're expressing the purpose of your search.
Right.
Right. But if you want to say something happened because of someone,
Okay.
then you would say, algo pasó por alguien,
Cool.
using por to indicate the cause.
Yeah, to show that cause and effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about those subtle distinctions that make Spanish so precise
It is. It really is.
and expressive.
This is really making me appreciate how deep it can be.
Oh,
It's so much more than just vocab.
absolutely. It's about understanding how these seemingly small grammatical elements,
Right.
like prepositions, can just like drastically change the meaning of a sentence.
Totally. Yeah. All right. So we've covered some mistakes. We've covered some pro tips.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to bring it back to the listener for a sec.
Sure.
What are some key takeaways
Yeah.
that they should be thinking about
Yeah.
as they learn about these?
I would say the most important thing is to remember that context is key.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
Right. Pay close attention to the verbs, the surrounding words, and like the overall meaning of the sentence to figure out exactly how these pronouns are being used.
Totally. Yeah.
You can't just look at the word in isolation.
Yeah. It's all about the big picture.
The exact.
Not just the individual words.
And don't be afraid to experiment, right? Like, try using these pronouns
Yeah.
in your own Spanish conversations and see how they feel.
Put it into practice.
Put it into practice and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Mistakes are good. Mistakes are how we learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And each time you like catch yourself making a mistake with these pronouns, you're one step closer to mastering them.
I love that.
Yeah,
This has been so helpful. I
There.
feel like I'm seeing these pronouns in a whole new light.
I'm glad.
Speaking of new light, do you remember
Yeah.
when we were talking about how in Spanish you can change the word order for emphasis?
Mm-hmm.
Jaime actually points out that that reflects a deeper philosophical difference
Right?
between Spanish and English.
Isn't that fascinating?
That's so interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, so he suggests that English, with its more fixed word order,
Okay.
tends to like prioritize objectivity and a clear separation between like subject and object.
Okay.
But Spanish, with its more flexible word order,
Yeah.
allows for like a more subjective and fluid expression of thought.
So the way we structure sentences
Reflect.
reflects different ways of seeing the world.
Exactly.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it really highlights how language isn't just like a tool for communication,
Right.
but like a way of shaping our thoughts and perceptions.
That has a profound thought.
It is.
I'll be thinking about that for a while.
Me too. It just goes to show that there's always more to discover, more to learn, more to appreciate about language.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, I think this has officially taken us from basic Spanish grammar
To existential pondering.
to existential pondering. I love it.
It's the best.
So what does all this mean for our listener?
Ooh, good question.
How can they take these insights
Yeah.
and apply them to their language learning journey?
You know, I would encourage our listener to not just focus on memorizing rules,
Okay.
but to really think about the deeper implications of these grammatical structure.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do they shape the way we express ourselves?
Mhm.
How do they reflect different ways of seeing the world?
I love that.
Yeah, it's about taking this step back
Yeah.
and seeing the bigger picture.
And appreciating that complexity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been incredible.
I'm glad you think so.
We've gone so deep on these indefinite pronouns.
We have. We've gone from the nuts and bolts of Spanish grammar to
Existential pond.
pondering the nature of existence. All thanks to these amazing pronouns.
I love it. What's the key takeaway you want to leave our listener with?
You know, I think it's this. Don't underestimate the power of language.
Oh, I like that.
Even the smallest words can carry deep meaning and connect us to profound truths about ourselves and the universe.
Yes.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.
Beautifully said. I couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive on Spanish indefinite pronouns.
It was my pleasure.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
Definitely.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground on this part.
We have.
We talked about common pitfalls, pro tips, and even some philosophical underpinnings
Yeah, it's been a good one.
of Spanish grammar.
And you know what? There's still more to come.
That's right. We have one final part to this deep dive where we'll be addressing a really intriguing point that Jaime brought up in his lesson.
It's a concept that, honestly, I'd never really considered before, but it completely changed the way I think about indefinite pronouns.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
But for now, we'll leave you with this thought.
Okay.
As you continue your Spanish journey, remember that language isn't just about rules and structures. It's about expression, creativity, and connecting with the world around us.
Well said.
So stay curious, keep practicing, and we'll see you back here soon for the final part of our deep dive into Spanish indefinite pronouns. Okay, welcome back. You ready to finish this deep dive?
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for this last part.
Me too. We've covered so much already. But there's this one concept from Jaime's lesson. It's like, it's going to blow your mind.
I know when you first told me, I was like, really?
Right.
But then I thought about it some more and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, he's right. It totally changes like everything, how we think about these pronouns.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What is it? What is this revolutionary idea?
So Hema suggests that these pronouns, these simple pronouns, you know, alguien, nada, they aren't just about like referring to unknown people or things. He's saying they tap into something much deeper, the very concept of existence itself.
Whoa, that is deep. That's pretty philosophical for a Spanish grammar lesson.
Right. But, okay, think about it. Think about the phrase, alguien está ahí fuera, someone is out there. Like, we're acknowledging the possibility of something existing
Right.
without knowing what it is.
Right, like there's a whole world out there
Yeah, exactly.
beyond what we can see, and there's all these unknown people.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to people. Oh,
Mm.
okay. When we say, hay algo en la caja, there is something in the box, we're acknowledging the existence of some unknown object.
Right, right. So it's not just like a placeholder.
Mm-hmm.
It's like actually expressing that there are things that exist
Exactly.
beyond what we know.
Yeah, and Hamia suggests that this is like a really fundamental aspect of human experience, like grappling with the unknown, with the vastness of existence beyond ourselves.
Oh my gosh, these tiny little pronouns. I love it.
Right?
That's incredible.
Oh, it's kind of mind-blowing.
It is, and it makes me think about how language, like all these different ways that language reflects our relationship with, you know, just being, existing. Like you think about all the words that we have for emotions,
Oh, yeah.
abstract concepts, things that we can't see or touch.
It's like language is constantly trying to capture
Right.
the complexities of being human.
Exactly. Exactly. And learning a new language gives us a whole new way to do that.
Oh, for sure.
A whole new way to kind of like access those complexity.
Yeah.
This has been so cool.
I'm glad you liked it.
We've gone from
Mm.
Spanish grammar to the meaning of life. Like, it's amazing. All thanks to these little pronouns.
It really is. I mean, that's what makes language learning so rewarding, right? It's not just about like acquiring a new skill. It's about like opening your mind to new ways of thinking, new ways of being.
I love that. Okay, so as we wrap up, what is the one thing, like the key takeaway you want to leave our listener with?
I would say don't underestimate the power of language.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, even the smallest words, they can carry so much meaning and connect us to these like profound truths about ourselves and the universe. So, just keep exploring, keep questioning, keep learning.
I love that. So well said. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive on Spanish indefinite pronouns.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
I feel like we really went deep. We went from like all these mistakes and these tips to like, I mean, we're talking about existence now.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
It's been so fun. I feel like I learned so much.
Yeah, me too.
So to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us and keep diving deep with us. We'll have more deep dives coming up soon.